Hello there, welcome back to my channel. We are jumping right on in here with a full face of products from Sephora that I would highly recommend. And I'm starting off with the Ole Henriksen Pout Preserve Lip Treatment. And this, I don't know if it's limited edition, but it is a new scent. This is Creme Brulee. So Creme Brulee and then the Strawberry. These are my two favorite scents. This treatment is so hydrating and it does kind of plump and smooth the lips. So I love to put it on while I'm getting ready. Now we're gonna go right to skincare, and as we go along, I will give you a few little snippets about the sale. But I just didn't want to bore you with like 5 minutes of all the sale details right up front. Some of you are like, let's just get to the face of makeup, who cares, right? But we're going to start a little before makeup with some skincare, and I'm going to start with the Dr. Dennis Oil-Free Radiant Moisturizer. This has been my go-to since I introduced it to you all a couple of months ago, and you can see I'm getting down to it, but it's lasted quite well. I used 2 pumps after I have toned my skin, and it's been a little while since I showered and put my toner on, so I did put 1 pump of this on already, but I'm going to go ahead and smooth on my second pump. And this has just a very, very light, almost citrusy scent, but this has vitamin C, and it is just a wonderful, just lightweight moisturizer. Sinks right in. If you have super dry skin, you might need to go in with something heavier, but for me, who's more combination oily, this has been amazing. I have loved this, along with the overnight, or I do this at night, I should say, the nighttime skin peel treatment. This is the Universal Daily Peel. I noticed that there are a couple of different levels. This is, I believe, just the original one. I haven't done like the super extra or anything. I only use this about twice a week, so it's gonna last a lot longer than if you were doing it every day, but it's a 2-step treatment, and I will link that video down below because I demo it. But I have continued to love this. This is something you would definitely benefit from picking up during the sale. All right, one more step, and then I'll give you a few more details while we let the sunscreen sink in. This is a brand new sunscreen. I just tried it for the first time yesterday. It's the K-Skin Mobay Mineral Sunscreen. It's SPF 30. It is a mineral sunscreen, zinc oxide 9.4%. I was so impressed with how this wore, how it looked on the skin. So I'm going to use it again today. And because I'm not going down the neck, I just do like 2 fingers worth. And I was a little concerned because this isn't very tinted. You know, I thought, uh-oh, we're going to have this white cast, but just hang with me here. Okay, clipped my hair back a little better so you can just see. So look at the glow, and it says it gives a glow. And so when I first received this, they actually sent this to me in PR. I was a little concerned because glowy sunscreens, I've tried the Live Tinted, and that's like way too glowy for me. And when I first applied it on the back of my hand, I thought, well, it doesn't seem too glowy. So I put it on my face, and at first I was like, oh, but you can see as it's sinking in, that white cast is disappearing. And in a few more minutes, because you know, you're supposed to let your sunscreen actually sit on your skin for a little bit and sink in before applying makeup. So in a few more minutes, we'll check in. But while that sinks in, I want to go ahead and give you the quick details. So the Sephora sale, this is their semi-annual sale, and it starts November 1st, goes through November 11th. And depending on your reward status with them, that determines what discount you get and when you get to shop. So I'll pop up on the screen those details. So first we start off with the Rouge members at 20% off. Then the VIB members get 15% off, and the Beauty Insiders receive 10% off. It's a free reward program to join, so you can join right now and at least take advantage of that 10% off. Also, for all 3 reward levels, no matter which one you are, everybody gets Sephora Collection products at 30% off, and that starts on the 1st. So everybody can shop Sephora Collection starting then. Now, I will leave all of those sale details in the description box down below. One thing to note, and I mention this every time because not everybody understands this, but you can shop multiple times during that window of your sale time. So it's not like Ulta does where it's a one-time use. So you can go on and use your discount code on Saturday, shop again Monday, on Tuesday. So I think that is a wonderful perk that Sephora offers. So let's jump right on in here. And I decided this time through that I would do a get ready with me, a full face. I'm going to show you mostly kind of newer favorite products, but there are a few holy grails that I just don't have a favorite to replace them with. But I'm focusing on those things that you can get at Sephora. So the skincare is done. And now I just want you to see, I still have a glow and there's just a tiny little tack on the skin, but it's not oily, it's not greasy. It just looks really pretty, makes the skin look really nice. So that's going to be important when we get to our foundation step because we're using something new. All right, we're going to start with eyeshadow primer though. And this is the Sephora collection. This is the 12-hour Wear Eye Primer, Boost and Lock, it says. And at first I didn't love this applicator because it's kind of hard to get out, but I have grown to love it because it really gives you the proper amount on just one dip in. So it's not giving you too much product. It's basically a clear eyeshadow primer. And I would say this is one of the better ones. The NARS Smudge Proof Eye Base is a step above this one. So if you have super oily eyelids, this is definitely one that's going to hold everything in place. The Sephora one has surprisingly worked well for me for about a 12-hour day, I would say. And I do have very oily eyelids. So since this is going to be 30% off, this would be a great option if you want a very affordable one, but the NARS one is even better than this one. So depending on your needs, you could choose one of those two. Okay, let's go to eyeshadow next. And I'm going to highlight a couple of holiday sets that are available because they're limited edition. And I have actually been using this set from Tarte, kind of trying them out for over a month, might even be a month and a half. So each palette, it comes in one package, but you could easily gift one of these to a friend, or you could gift the whole thing or keep the whole thing. So this first palette, these are all warm neutrals, basically. This has been actually my top used one so far. And I'm actually going to dip into this shadow right here. I'm going to put a little bit of this under the brow bone. And these mattes are super creamy. And I don't really feel like you get much kick up. So I feel like they're pressed really well. They're not super powdery. And then all of the shimmers in the palettes are very, very buttery, creamy, and they are that more, I want to say heavier, denser formula, but wow, do they pack a punch. So again, this has been my top favorite of the three, but we're going to come back to that one for one shade. Let me show you the next one, which we will actually use a little bit of this one. This is the pink version. Look how beautiful this is. These shimmer shades, oh, they're so beautiful. I think maybe reason why I haven't used this a lot is because it's been a little more of a springy kind of summery color tone. This matte plum is gorgeous. So I know though that this is going to be one that I reach for a lot more in the spring, but we are actually going to come back to this one and use a little bit of this shade in a moment. And then the third one, and this had been my least utilized one because it's the cooler tone version of the three. And this has some beautiful neutrals. And then of course, this beautiful pop of shimmery blue. I think that will be a very fun kind of New Year's Eve or holiday look. This beautiful olive shade. Oh, I almost was going to use that today, but I've decided to defer because of other things that I want to put on my face. So we're actually going to primarily be using this palette today. But before we start there, I'm going to show you an easy way to get a kind of gray smoky eye. And we're going to start with one of the Sephora collection eyeshadow crayons. And I had bought these, I don't know, last spring, maybe last winter time. I've had these for a while and they are just really, really good. very long wearing. This is the one we're gonna use. This is kind of like a shimmery grayish taupe. I feel like I've used this in a video before. And then this one is gorgeous. This is kind of that beautiful kind of wine plum color. And I will list all the colors down below without pulling out my glasses. Can't make out a lot of these colors. So just to save time, we're gonna just go right in here. Okay, so what we're gonna do is I'm going to use this as a base all along my lash line here. And I'm pressing this kind of into my lashes. And in a moment, we are going to kind of cover this up. So some of you are probably like, why are we doing this step? We're doing this step because I'm going to be using powder shadows as not only my shadow look, but also kind of for our liner ultimately. And if you don't put anything like this down, at least for me, I feel like your liner, that depth at the lash line, can fade very quickly throughout the day. So I've got that base down, and now I'm going to just take the BK Beauty 204 brush, and I'm gonna just softly blend the edge, and I'm blending up. You can see I kind of went a little bit triangular with this. And now I'm going to go into this palette, into this shade right here, which is a very dark gray. And I'm going to press that shadow first right into the roots of the lashes. Do you see how that shadow stick is just grabbing those shadows? And these shadows are quite pigmented all on their own. They do wear well all on their own. But again, because we're at the lash line, I kind of want to keep that depth. Now, this is going to look a little messy. Don't worry. Hang with me. We're going to make this pretty quick and easy though. And so then I'm going to go in with a slightly bigger brush. And I do have a video already filmed about makeup brushes, so stay tuned. I'll talk about this process. I'm going to next go in with a combination of this shade and that gray. And we're going to, and this is the rougher number 1 brush. I'm going to now just blend up towards the crease. So as we go up the eye, I'm going to get bigger with my brush and lighter with my shadows. And then we'll go ahead and go to the crease and we'll see if we need to deepen anything. I'm going to do the rougher number 15 Max, and I'm going to go in with this shade right here, which is a beautiful taupey brown shade. Really nice for those of you who don't love super warm tones. I feel like Tarte did a great job with this set of giving you quite a variety between the 3 palettes. So depending on if you're giving them as a gift, kind of what the likes of each of your recipients is, or if you're keeping them, it's not like you have repeats between all of the palettes, okay? So that was pretty easy. And now what we're gonna do is go back to that number 1 brush, and I'm going to blend a little bit of this and that lighter shade, and we're going to just work this here and just make sure we have kind of this nice haze. And then go back to our small little brush and that dark gray and work a little bit there just to fill in any gaps there in the outer corner. And then because I'm working with cooler tones on my warm skin, I always take a little extra time to just blend that top shadow into the brow bone highlight shade, because I feel like you have to spend a little more blending time when you're using the opposite of what your skin tone is for eyeshadow. Okay, lower lash line, I am going to use that same crayon just right into the roots of the lashes and smudge this. And what I noticed when I did this look the other day is that these gray tones really made my eye color stand out. It's kind of crazy. So I really loved it. You know, I don't wear grays, smoky taupes very often, but this is showing me that maybe I need to, right? Okay, now we're gonna have a little bit of fun with some of the shimmer shades. So I'll start off with this one right here. And this one, it looks pretty champagne there, but you can kind of see, especially layered over this kind of taupey color, it pulls a little more yellow, like bright kind of yellowy green, almost like a chartreuse. It's kind of a very interesting, unexpected color. I am just keeping this like really on the inner third. I'm not bringing it all the way across the lid like I normally do. So I'm stopping before the halfway point. And then, so you can see that, right? It's a little bit kind of greeny gold. And I was like, I don't know. So then I went to this palette, and this has been one of my favorites. Now this definitely reads a little more white gold. So even still with this kind of on top, it still kind of has a little bit of kind of too much yellow for me, but just hang with me here. You know, I love to do this, just creating our own kind of, well, in this case, it's going to be like a trio chrome, because we're going to go in with one more shade, and that is from the pink palette. Okay, so let me just show you. This is kind of really fun. Okay, so this shade right here, gorgeous shade, gorgeous, gorgeous. And I'm actually going to go right over the top of that. And it just starts to give a little bit more of a peach vibe, because we don't really have peach. We have copper in one of the palettes, but we don't have this kind of like peachy tone, which I love. Grays and kind of peachy pinks, right? Now we're going to take a flat brush. This is the Sigma E60. And I am going to add a little bit more of the pink shade. I'm going to press that on the brush on both sides. And then I'm going to use one of still my all-time favorite makeup setting sprays. I have been testing out this L'Oreal Infallible that feels like you're putting hairspray on your face, but still one of my favorites, one of the best out there, is the Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Flawless Finish Setting Spray. I'm going to spritz my brush with that, and I am going to tap over that shimmery inner corner. And as I get towards the center, I'm just gonna lightly tap. And then once again, go in with the other side of the brush, do the same over here. All right, and then I'm just gonna go back with a little bit of shadow and touch up here anywhere that I got a little out of control with that glitter. Once it's dry, make sure you wait till it dries. Mine is good and dry. And there we go. Isn't that fun? I personally think that's a real easy way to do a smoky eye. Start with all over color and then brighten up the inner corner. Okay, now those shadows, the glitter shadows, you do have a little bit of fallout. One trick you want to do is take a spoolie, or you can even just use your fingers. Run that through your lashes first, and then we'll clean up under the eyes and make sure we don't have any remaining glitter below the eyes. So I'm just going to take a little bit of almond oil. Now let's move on to foundation. Now I say foundation, but guess what? Today I am using my new favorite skin tint. This is the Sephora Reveal the Real. They say it is a soft, radiant skin tint. So that put me off at first. I thought, with my oily skin, and I knew it would be lighter in coverage. I just was not sure. And then I saw, I think it was Makeup by Cheryl. She raved about this and she said, nobody is talking about it. And she's right. I have not heard anybody other than her talk about it. And it's fantastic. I've tried this several times, but I have loved it better with a sunscreen like what I use today that's not super dewy because of my combo skin. All right, I have two shades. I purchased 170O, which has olive, and then 120Y. This comes in a lot of shade options. And so depending on how much sunless tanner I have on my skin and on my neck determines how much of each one. But I have really loved the mix of these two. I think I got about the right mix. Again, because this is a skin tint, it is sheer but it's buildable coverage, more buildable than any other skin tint I've tried so far. I'm going to use my Dalton brush. This is the sculpt brush. This is not available at Sephora. They have a brush like this, and I think I have it, but I can't find it. So I'm just using this. I'm using the smaller end because I want to just swipe on a sheer layer. And this truly looks weightless and like it's your skin, but better. Okay, so there is half the skin done. And you can see, I mean, there's not like this harsh line, like I'm wearing a mask on half of my face, but it just looks perfected, right? So one layer, let me do the other side. Okay, we're evened out. And now I just have a little bit of some spots and a little more redness. I would like more coverage. So I'm gonna go over those areas with just a little bit more. And this is a skin tint that actually builds really nicely, but doesn't look cakey or anything. It's just a beautiful product. Feels very cooling, very lightweight on the skin. And what I like about this one is it really does set nicely. It does not remain like super tacky on the skin like some skin tints do, especially with that word soft, radiant. Don't be afraid with this one. Okay, we're gonna let that sink in. Let's go to concealer because you can see I didn't put anything under my eyes and I've got some good purple tones going on there. So one of my new favorite concealers at Sephora, this is actually moved above the Natasha Denona concealer. Still love that one, but in my number 2 spot now for concealer is the Tarte, and this is the creamy creaseless concealer. They used to have a creaseless, they might still have that, but this is the creaseless creamy, I should say, with the pink lid. This is so great. Now I say number 2 because my number 1 is still the Dalton Reishi Mushroom, but at Sephora, this is my favorite, and I do love the color corrector. So this is actually the peach shade. It's still pretty light, I find, but I love what they did here. They gave us like a paintbrush, a very thin paintbrush, because you don't need to put color corrector solidly under your eye unless your whole under eye area is really blue. But if, like me, you have just certain spots that are extra purple or blue or brown, that is where you want to actually just focus your color corrector right on those spots. And it starts off looking a little bit pink, but I feel like as it dries, a little more of those peach tones come through. Okay, so you can see my purple has now kind of become more just a pink tone. So that color corrector is counteracting that darkness. And then I have 2 shades. I'm going to go in with the darker of the 2 shades. And again, I'll leave my shade name down below. So this now has a flat doe foot applicator, which I actually really love too. You can really kind of precisely add it right where you want it. And it looks like a lot, but I feel like this is a thin formula. So I'm just kind of spreading this out actually. And then I'm going to use what's left on that doe foot, just on the base of the nose where I had a little extra redness, any spots that weren't covered by that skin tint. So those of you who don't like a full coverage look, but you have some things to cover, just go back in with a couple spots with your concealer and you'll be good. All right, I'm going to blend those spots on the face first. And then I'll go ahead and maybe I'll just stick with this one brush. Let's see if we can get it all blended in. It's kind of a big brush for under the eye, but try to simplify things here a little bit today. And then I'll go in with the lighter shade that I have on days like this that I feel like I have a little little extra darkness. If you have puffy eyes, this is a great trick as well. I'm going to put that lighter shade in. So I'm not actually going in the trough, I'm going right next to it. And then I'll actually do a little bit of this here and a little on the nose as well. It's weird, right? It just kind of makes that area look a little flatter. It draws your eye here rather than to the darkness out there. So love, love, love that concealer. It's hydrating. I find that it lasts really well. I do have to set it, but we're gonna wait for it to kind of sink in a little bit and dry down. So next we'll go to contour, and one of my newest favorite cream contour sticks at Sephora is the Too Faced. This is Chocolate Mousse. This is their contour bronzing stick. I love this. I love the ease of a stick anyway, but this, just the tone of it, the formulation, I feel like it is quite easy to blend in, and you don't need a lot, but it's also not so pigmented that you have to be super careful about how much you apply. Now on my nose, I've kind of been trying a different trick, but we'll see how that goes. I actually, Nikki LaRose, I always want to call her Nikia, as in Nikia Joy. Nikki LaRose was showing a trick that she does where she actually puts the bronzer like all over the nose, blends it out, and then goes back in with a little concealer. So we'll kind of do a little combination of that. So I'm just going to flip that brush over and use this to blend that contour in. And it just seamlessly, I mean, tapping it in with a skin tint. Sometimes you can run into issues if you have to do too much swirling with your bronzer, cream blush, or whatever you're using. But this cream contour is perfect. Just taps right in, but it keeps the pigment, so you don't have to keep going back to layer. Now this comes in, I think, 5 shades, I believe. So there are lighter shades and deeper shades. I'll just go back real quick with that light concealer. I forgot I was gonna do this trick. And I'm gonna use the Nikki LaRose N16 brush just to put the highlight down the center of the nose. All right, I think we're good there. All right, now let's get to one of my newest favorite, most inventive products that I have tried, and it is the Caliray Blurry Blush. I have to say, when I heard that word, I thought blurry blush. Ooh, this could be really good. And I honestly, even the Danessa Myricks Yummy Skin, the cream blushes, I feel like this is even more blurring on the skin, and these set and stay and do not budge. So it is a liquid blush with a doe foot applicator. It is quite pigmented, so I do recommend doing it on, like, applying it to the back of your hand, put your brush in, and then applying it to your cheeks. I have the shade Dope, D-O-P-E, which is kind of one of the lighter shades. I feel like it ended up being a little brighter than I thought. I think it says rosy mauve or something, pinky mauve. I thought it ended up being a little brighter than I anticipated, but it's beautiful. But this is going to last all day. When you take your makeup off, it's still going to be bright and just exactly where you put it. On the back of my hand, if I let it dry down fully, I can't get it off unless I really wash it with a bunch of soap and everything. So these last so well. And I think a product like this works so well with a skin tint because, again, a skin tint with those extra kind of hydrating properties, I feel like sometimes anything you put on top can just melt away. These blushes do not. I plan to pick up another shade in the color, I think it's Zen. It is more of a kind of very neutral, kind of taupey color, taupey pink. It looks really pretty, but I have been so impressed with these. And these would be something if you're somebody who would like to wear blush more towards your nose, but you're concerned about pores and stuff like that. This is actually going to minimize the look of texture and pores on your skin. It's so good. And again, I'm just going in with light little dots, so it looks like I'm applying a lot. I'm really not. I'm just trying to go in really light layers. And I feel like I got a little bit more on this cheek. Could be just how the lighting this time of day might be a little more on the bright side, on one side. Okay. All right. I think we're pretty evened out. All right. So this is my top recommended blush, but go back to some of my other Sephora Sale Recommendations videos. I have lots of other blushes that I still love, powder blushes, cream blushes. I am going to show you one other powder blush today, but I had to start with this one. Okay, we need to set everything in place. And my normal setting powders that I use all over my face on a regular basis aren't sold at Sephora, but the one that I use and still love is the Makeup Forever. This is the Ultra HD Micro Finishing Loose Powder. This works great under the eyes, all over the face. It is a finishing powder, so generally you kind of want this to be more your last step, but I'm gonna do something before we get there, and that is set the under eye. One of my other favorite powders under the eyes are the Tarte. These are the creaseless setting powders, and I have yellow and pink. So I'll show you kind of a combination of them both. The pink powder I feel like is very brightening. It's not going to come off as pink per se. I use the pink one in the winter when I have less color to my skin, the yellow when I have a little more kind of tan. I love the packaging of these. They come with their own little triangular puff in the top, and then this seals all that powder in so you have mess-free application. I love it. There is another viral powder I'm going to talk about at the end. I have a few things that a lot of people love that I don't, and I'm going to talk about those at the end. And that powder has none of that built into it. And I'm like, really? At this price? Okay. I'm going to take the BK Beauty 108 brush, and I'm just going to tap a little bit of each of those. First, I need to check and make sure I don't have any creasing. And actually, I really don't. I don't feel like that has really settled into my lines. So now I'm just going to set under the eyes. Now, somebody asked recently, why do people use a different setting powder under the eyes than the rest of the face? If you're somebody like me who has dry under eyes and oily skin, I need two different things. Under the eyes, I need it to set and stay in place, but I want a powder that has hydration in it. The rest of my face, I don't need extra hydration. So that is why I personally use two different setting powders most of the time under the eyes versus the rest of the face. However, the Makeup Forever powder I can get away with all over my face and under the eyes. It's a very unique, lightweight product. Now, I'm going to go ahead and set a little bit with that since we were talking about it. I'm going to use the damp beauty sponge, and I'm just going to tap a little bit of that powder out into my hand. And I'm going to set mainly just here in the T-zone. This powder is still one of the most blurring powders out there. Do you see how it just wiped away any texture, any pores? And before I set, I mean, I can touch my skin that's not been set, and it's not really tacky. I'm not like wiping my skin and getting makeup on my finger. So that skin tint really does set down really nicely. I'm just going to blend out my forehead creases there before I set. Okay, and then on the rest of my face, I'm going to go in with some powders from the new Hourglass. This is the Ambient Lighting Edit Unlocked palette. Now, I purchased mine on the Hourglass website, so I was able to customize the outer packaging and the inner part. So I chose the middle tone, middle color choice. And then I loved the outer packaging that is normally with the deeper tone, if that makes sense. So only on the Hourglass website can you customize it. Otherwise, at Sephora, they have all three versions. It's just each one has its own unique cover. So I loved, of course, the flowers. So I put that with the middle tones, and I have really enjoyed this palette. I've had this for a couple of months. I'm gonna start right here with the bronzer. And what I feel like is unique in this palette this year versus other ones I've had in the past is this is truly kind of a contour shade. It is cooler toned. And in the other palettes I've purchased, they have been quite a warm tone bronzer. And this is one that I can contour with. And it's more matte, but it's basically like your Hourglass powders. If you're not familiar, they are supposed to help kind of reflect light and make your skin just appear more perfected. And so I have really enjoyed this. Now, normally I can just use this on its own without that Too Faced contour stick, but you know, I'm just showing you a few extra products by layering powder and cream together. So every time I do that, somebody says, is it really necessary to layer all that? No, but I just want to show you both options. So that is beautiful, but I have also really enjoyed all the rest of the blushes, the highlighters in here. I mean, this is a beautiful highlight. I'm not going to use that today. I'm not going to use the blushes. I am, though, going to use the finishing powder. This particular one has one finishing powder. I'm going to go in with the number 30 brush from Rougher. And I did this just kind of on the back part of my cheek where I did not set with the Makeup Forever, where I'm not as oily. And I just thought it really did a great job of just kind of blending everything and blurring that part of my skin without it looking dry or powdery. So these are beautiful. And I have really enjoyed the color combination this year. Now, I mentioned another blush option that I wanted to share with you, and it is another Tarte holiday set. There are 5 cheek products. So 4 of these are blushes, 1 is a highlighter, and I do love the packaging. However, because they're all gold, like the eyeshadow palettes, you have to open each one to see what color it is. So I have in mind, oh, I want to wear this highlighter, but you got to open them all to find it, right? I mean, I guess the design on the top is different, but who's going to memorize, oh, the highlighter is in the diamond shape one, right? So this is the highlighter in the set. I'm going to go ahead and apply this since I found it so quickly. And I'm going to use the Rougher number 18 brush. This is a gorgeous highlighter. It is so pretty. I mean, a little goes a long way, but it's not chunky glitter. I don't know. It's really, really beautiful. Now, this blush is one of my top favorites in the set, and I'm going to actually apply just a little bit of this on top. It is this beautiful kind of terracotta, I don't know, a terracotta muted terracotta. Like it almost has a bronzer feel, but with a little bit of some pink in there. I mean, oh, and over the top of that pink blush, I think the 2 of them, it's so beautiful. The other 3 shades, let me show you those. We've got something for everybody. All right, before we go to brows, let's go ahead and do inner corner highlight. And I'm actually going to just use that face highlighter. Time for brows and lashes. And these products are longtime favorites. And if you've watched me for any amount of time, they will be no surprise. So for brows, I'm using the Benefit Precisely My Brow Pencil 3.5 has been my go-to shade, and the Anastasia Beverly Hills Clear Brow Gel. I've been playing around with the laminating one, and that is no joke. I mean, it glues your brows down, but I can kind of get a little out of control with that. So I just, for quick and easy, reliable, this is my favorite brow combo. And then for my lashes, it is this combination. So I have 2 mascaras and 1 primer. The lower lash mascara is the Caloray mascara, and this is a tubing mascara that puts a tube over your lashes. So if you cry or have watery eyes or have issues with smudging, you're not going to get any of that mascara kind of bleeding away. It actually, those tubes stay on until you remove it with warm water. And then on my upper lashes, I have gone back to my Dior Show 3D primer. Now this is the 3D, now there's a 4D. So I plan to pick up the 4D because that's the updated version. Hopefully it's still just as good, but I still have the 3D. This has lash growth properties. And let me tell you, I've noticed when I took a break from this. So I'm slowly building my lashes back up to their full length and fullness. And then the IT Cosmetics Superhero Mascara. This just is my top favorite. Done. I am properly accessorized. Now let's finish up with some lips. And before I wipe off that Pout Preserve, you can see, I mean, I still have product on the lips. The lips just look and feel really hydrated. And even when I take it off, I mean, it's just a very unique lip prep step and I love it. Okay, real quickly, I'm gonna add some MAC Soft Ochre Paint Pot. For my lip combination, I'm going to do one that I received so many questions about, and it is the Charlotte Tilbury Lip Cheat in the shade Love Trap. This is one of my new favorite shades from her line, and it is just a beautiful kind of mid-tone mauve-y, slightly berry pink shade, but it's neutral. So it doesn't add brightness, but it does add a little bit of depth. And then for my main lip color, I'm going to use the Fenty Beauty Gloss Stick in Blazed Donut. She has some very unique names to this lip line. I only have 2 shades. I do love this other shade. I'll put its shade name down below. But this is the very nude, kind of peachy nude. I do love this one, but I have reached for over and over again the Blazed Donut. And I feel like this is a formulation that we're seeing just about every brand come out with. It is a sheer balmy, glossy stick. But what's crazy about this formula is it is quite long wearing. So that is what has made it one of my favorites, because sometimes you put these on and they just slip right off your lips and you think, what's the point, right? But this one, I feel like you really can use in place of a lipstick and a gloss. I may add a gloss on top in the center. We'll get there in a moment. Let's start with lip liner. You can see I brought that lip liner in just a little bit so we don't have kind of a harsh line. Now let's apply Blazed Donut. And these do have a slight kind of plumping feel, but nothing painful or stingy. They do have, it's a similar scent to her glosses, so slightly fruity, but it's not a very strong scent. So that's kind of just a light layer, and already you can see a nice little bit of a sheen on the lips, and the color is just beautiful. It is a really nice kind of cool pink shade. I have really enjoyed this. And then let me swatch the other one next to it just so you can see the difference. Now, I do, while I have loved these, her lip liner, I actually feel like the Charlotte Tilbury lasts longer, not only on the lips, but also the product itself is gonna last longer. The Fenty ones are so creamy that I pretty much have to sharpen them every time I use them because they wear down so quickly. And I don't, for me personally, they do not last as long on the lips as these do. So there is your lip look. Now the gloss that I was thinking of putting on top, I won't, but this has become a new favorite as well. This is the Lawless lip gloss, and it's this particular shade. It's Candy Sky, and this is the ultimate pearly frosty pink. I just absolutely love it. I love it on its own with a lip liner. I also love that because it's so bright and shiny, it does show up over lip color. Why not? Let's just add a little here. Now, the key with Lawless glosses, you don't want to add too much because they will get a little gloppy. So because I just added a tiny little bit, you're seeing just a little extra light there, but all on its own or over even a darker lip color, something I want to tone down. I absolutely love this shade. Okay, here now is our finished look. And I just really love how all of these products came together. Now, as I said, as I was doing this look, I don't always layer all of these, you know, the cream, the powder. I just wanted to show you as many products as possible of recommendations. And I think personally, it's helpful to actually see them in action because then you better understand why I love something. This is the first time I've really done this video this way. You can let me know if you like it or not. I will, of course, leave everything linked and listed down below, but before you go, I have a couple of other items that I just want to mention. First of all, because there are holiday gift sets out, another blush that I have been really enjoying and loving are these Kosas Blush is Life blushes. And I have two shades. The first one I purchased is Blissed, and it doesn't look like much in the pan. It's a baked kind of marbled look, but there is just something about, do you see that hint of glow on my finger? And then the other shade I bought was Thrill, and oh, I love this one as well. As we're going into fall, winter, it's going to be great for summer. There's just a natural kind of blurring yet glowiness about these blushes. There's no shimmer particles in them, but I have really enjoyed these. And there is a gift set that has 3 minis in there, and one of the colors is Blissed, which is the reason why I didn't buy the gift set because I already own the full size. But that is one gift set you could keep an eye out for, or just these individual blushes. There is another gift set. Rare Beauty actually sent me this, and it is 2 of their blushes and 1 of their highlighters. And these shades are just gorgeous. I mean, look at these shades. Now, when I was using this one, what I felt like was, I don't know if this is true or not, but it seems like she altered the formula just a bit to where it's not quite as crazy pigmented, because I have a couple of the full size ones of these and I can get in trouble real quick. They get really out of control. But this one in particular, when I was using it the other day, I just felt like it was a very buildable formula and maybe just a little bit more, I don't want to say watery in a bad way, but in a good way, because that is why I didn't reach for her other ones quite as often, because I felt like I had to be so careful. But you can see that just blended out to such a beautiful kind of neutral shade. And then this one, oh my goodness, this one is gorgeous. And of course, this one's a more pigmented color, but even still, do you see, I feel like, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong about that, but I feel like they're a little more user-friendly. And then this is just a beautiful kind of coppery highlighter shade that you could mix with either of these and it would be beautiful, or you could wear it on its own. I mean, do you see that? Just really nice. So this gift set is called, this is the Mini Blush and Luminize Trio. So another holiday special edition out there. Laneige Sleeping Mask. I couldn't leave without mentioning this special edition Peppermint. I bought the full size this year. Last year I had gotten the mini. It was a part of something else. But this year I got the full size and it smells just like candy canes. 2 products that are like really, really, I want to say viral right now that I have tried that are actually going back. The first one is the N Beauty Project Extreme Cream. You know, skincare is so personal, so this is just my experience with it. But this is supposed to be firming and lifting moisturizer, visibly firm, lifted, and smoother skin. It's infused with a plant-based bioretinol, peptides, 3 times ceramide complex. And it's supposed to be a very hydrating formula. Use it at night with the retinoids and everything. And I used this a couple of nights in a row, and my face, it was just dry and kind of tight. It was not what I've experienced with my other retinol products. So I have to be super careful. I have very sensitive skin, and I know retinol does turn over cells, but I didn't feel like I was getting the hydration to the skin along with that. So it just was not a win for me. And then also, the Mario, what is this? Makeup by Mario. This is the Surreal Skin Soft Blur Setting Powder. Whoa, everybody I watch loves this. And if you love it, great. But let's start with the packaging. I think for the price tag, this is all you get. You don't even get a stopper or anything. And I'm like, really? But that aside, I know myself, and I struggle with powders that have pigmentation. So this one comes in a lot of different shades, and I just find that these heavier, I find that when they're pigmented like this one, it's just too heavy. Like I've tried it under the eyes, and it really does not keep my under eye crease free. It doesn't add any hydration. I feel like my under eyes actually look a little drier when I use this. On the rest of my face, it's not blurring enough and oil controlling enough throughout the day. So if you have drier skin, you might like this all over your face. But for me, this is just not it. So I wanted to mention those products because I'm sure you're going to see those in a lot of people's Sephora recommendations, and they just have not worked out for me. But all in all, I hope that you enjoyed this video. I hope it was helpful. It was a lot of products, but hopefully because we did the full face, it kind of made it not seem overwhelming. I will link and list everything in the description box below, along with all of the sale info. Again, you've got November 1st through November 11th to shop the Sephora collection, and then depending on your reward tier, depends on when you can shop with your discount code. But I hope you found this helpful and fun. Let me know if you want to see a haul, a Sephora haul, because I really didn't tell you too much about what I'm planning to shop for, because I wanted to keep it a surprise in case you all want to see a haul. So let me know that in the comments, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.